You're listening to Radigan's Rockcast, a series focused on talking about music from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, and even current. Now, here's your host, Tom Radigan.
What's going on, guys? Thank you for tuning in to Radigan's Rockcast. I am, of course, your host, Tom Radigan. Always, as in always. Thank you whether you are listening to this on Castos, Anchor, Spotify, Amazon Music, YouTube, wherever. I am glad you are on. So, let's begin. So, for today, I wanted to talk about one of the greatest albums of all time, and definitely, what'll be on that list of 100 albums you need to listen to before you die. And that is, yes, Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run. So, Born to Run came out in 1975, and it took a year to make. From May of 74 to July of 75, it was released in August of that year. And definitely made Bruce Springsteen a national, worldwide star and all that. He had 2 albums before that, and, he just wasn't gaining as much success, even though he did have a good reception on both of those first 2 albums and all that, especially with Greetings from Asbury Park, had the song Blinded by the Light, which then Manfred Mann covered. So the thing that was interesting about, an album like that is it had, floods of Springsteen's lyrics, because Springsteen was, an amazing, just, astonishing songwriter with all these words, very creative, definitely inspired a lot by Bob Dylan. I believe it was Bob Dylan, I think I heard. I remember when Springsteen was on Colbert, apparently Colbert mentioned a saying about a statement Bob Dylan made, I think when Greetings from Asbury Park came out in 73, saying if this guy doesn't be careful, but he won't have he won't be able to, he'll run out of every word in the English language by his next album. Because just a lot of songs, especially by Blinded by the Light, and his version is better than Manfred Mann's, because there's more verses and all that stuff, and just fast, just amazing lyrics and all that stuff. I mean, my favorite, and some some handy, some man was worried that he caught the clap by some mousetrap he bought last night. Wonderful line, and all that stuff, and you can get and then you can understand the reference, what he means by that, all that stuff, and and that's the thing. So when time to make Born to Run, he wanted to make the greatest rock album ever. That was his goal, to just make the greatest rock album ever. And it took a lot of inspiration from Phil Spector's The Wall Sound, Roy Orbison. He basically wanted the album to be Roy Orbison singing Bob Dylan, lyrics and all that stuff. Because he was a huge admired Roy Orbison, admired Bob Dylan, and you can definitely see this on the album. I mean, in the song Thunder Road, he mentions Roy Orbison saying "Only the Lonely," and that's you, and I only want you to want me, and it's just amazing. Of course, you got Clarence Clemens on sax, the big man and all that. Stevie Van Zandt also has a little bit of appearance on this album. He's not, I believe, on all the tracks. He's on Thunder Road and did the arrangement for 10th Avenue Freeze Out, but not on, of course, the famous Born to Run, Jungle Land and all that stuff. But of course, Clarence Clemens takes that, definitely, we just are in awe of Clarence Clemens, especially on Jungle Land. Of course, I believe, you still had, his famous drummer Max Weinberg, all that, and, this was, of course, the famous E Street Band and all that, which is probably one of the famous, probably backing bands in rock and roll, I mean, they're just as, and I would say they're more than a backing band. I mean, of course, Stevie Van Zandt, Clarence Clemens, Max Weinberg, they're all, legendary themselves and all that stuff. In all that sense, and just amazing musicians as well, and really helped carry Springsteen, in a sense, and especially on these early records. an interesting thing to point out before we go dive really into the songs is that his producer was different. The first time he used a critic, John Landau, who worked for like Rolling Stone and all that, and he became his music producer. And now John Landau is, like one of the biggest guys in the music industry. I've read, I think he served on the committee of Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, or just like served on a lot. I mean, he's a big, powerful guy in the music industry, and of course, producing Springsteen helped him again reach up on the ladder and all that. But he had a famous saying, like he had a famous quote that came out around. I think this was a performance that he saw of Springsteen in '74, and he said, "I saw rock and roll future that night," and that was Bruce Springsteen. And yeah, I mean, just look up clips on YouTube of Springsteen playing and all that sense on whether it's 73 or 74 and all that. And oh my God, I mean, you could tell what John Landau was saying when you see those performances. I mean, there's no other performer like him. I mean, like when you see, it's like these people really put on a show. It's not just a musician playing to an audience. Like he's really, making your money's worth, when you go to his show. And he still does. I mean, he's just like such an incredible showman. I mean, I don't think there's anybody like him in that sense. I mean, and especially the dynamic he had, especially with not just Stevie Van Zandt on stage, but the biggest, duo of like chemistry that you saw was between him and Clarence Clemons, just like that, like of how, they would play, how he would play guitar when Clemons would play sax, and just there, this bond you would see on stage was just there and real. I mean, it's even on the album cover where Springsteen's leaning onto him, and you just see him on the album and stuff like that. But but the shoulder is Clarence Clemons, and there's more of a full picture on that too that you can see. I think from the album, I think like on the sleeve notes and all that, and. There's more pictures of those photos, of those photo shoots and all that stuff. But yeah, no, I mean, just, a lot of incredible performances. I mean, and of course Springsteen has been in the news a lot lately because he did a podcast with Obama this year. And, I saw him on Stephen Colbert recently. And it was just interesting, because it was funny. There's this there's this video footage that they showed that I never saw before, where in 1979 he played for this benefit concert, the No Nukes concert. And, when I talk about how Springsteen was, it's just such an incredible showman, you see it in that clip that they showed, where on the stage, the night he's performing is his 30th birthday. And he, was like, it's incredible. It's like, I can't go on like this. I'm 30 years old. And then my heart's starting to go out on me. I can't. And like the audience is just applauding and cheering. The audience is going crazy, crazy, crazy. And he's like I can't. I don't want you to beg. And he's like putting in hand gestures, like being like, no, go. Yeah. And then just starts, just wailing out another performance and all that. And, that, I think that video shows, just how incredible this person was live, and still is live. And I mean, I never saw Springsteen live. I hope to eventually see him live soon, and all that, because honestly, it seems like an incredible performance. My grandfather, it's funny because my grandfather was always into more like country music and all that. And so the funny thing is that he always loved Springsteen. He always would listen to Springsteen. And he loved like songs like Glory Days and all that. But yeah, he always said that he wanted to see him live. It was always an interesting thing because like I said, my grandfather had more of a taste, or not so much of the rock and roll era of the 70s, but always loved Bruce Springsteen. But yeah, no. So let's go dive into the 8 songs on this album. So, I mean, of course, I believe the essential tracks, of course, are, Thunder Road, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, Born to Run, Jungle Land are like, the four essential songs on this album that, are should definitely be thought highly of and all that. Of course, there are other great ones that I like, for instance, Backstreets and The Night. But let's start off with Thunder Road. So, Thunder Road is an interesting song because it is considered one of Springsteen's greatest songs. A lot of fans will call it his best songs yet. And the funniest thing is when I listened to the song, I always thought, I never really noticed, it as, a massive hit in a sense. But then when I kept listening to it, you could see how it works in all that sense. And, I have had more appreciation for it as I've listened to it more and more and all that stuff. And, it does work well. I mean, it definitely does have a good style to it. That little horn section, the little what do we call it? You got the harmonica, you got all that, and just that works. And then of course the screen door slams, Mary, you dress way, it's just. The way how we hear Springsteen's voice, just come through very slow and all that, works pretty well. I mean, it's an interesting track. Definitely, just works so well. And, I think, the harmonica is played by Springsteen. Of course, you got, and then, Clarence Clemens sax that, really almost it's like an orchestra, in one person with that dun 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 dun. That works. Of course, the Roy Orbison reference. And what I like about it, Springsteen's music, and it happens a lot, especially on this album, where the music shifts. It's like a film you're watching. Born to Run, I would even consider almost like a concept album of a lot of stuff from New Jersey, just being native to your state. A lot of stuff about a lot of references about New Jersey and all that, and just just like a young kid just finding his way almost in a sense. Definitely has that, suburban or even, just, that New Jersey, that East Coast vibe to it, which is basically the Springsteen sound, and it works so perfectly, and I like just how the song builds up, and then, of course, into the end with Clarence Clemens sax. That just works so well. And then we're going to talk about my favorite probably song on the album, which is 10th Avenue Freeze Out, which is such a banger. I mean, oh my God, just it's hitting in your face. When you put the headphones on, it's just all over. And of course you got Clarence Clemens to make this song work. Then you have, of course, Springsteen's voice, just the funk in it too. Oh my God. You could just sing that, and it's such a catchy, chorus too, it's really, it really is, and of course the opening intro is such a hook, but I walked into it, and then just them just, really emphasizing 10th Avenue Freeze Out, all that, 10th Avenue Freeze Out, just, it really sticks in your mind and all that, and definitely one of the best songs on the album, and one of my favorite Springsteen songs, definitely works well. And then, of course, what I think a song that works perfectly after that is another, a loud stomping song, which is Night. And, like I said, Clemens' saxophone solo is also just very, his playing on with the saxophone on that song too is also very just in your face and just great to hear, just this loud sound coming at you, roaring at you. And, Springsteen's voice just coming in and just, just works so well too. Yeah, no, I love it too, like how he just, like you got that Springsteen voice going like, as you lock up your house, turn out the light and step out into the night. All right, but yeah, no, it works perfectly, and it's not, of course, the most well known song on the album, and one of but definitely I think I definitely, out of the other four songs, I consider it just as high and all that stuff. If I had to rank it, I would rank it with them as well. And then we've got the other song on it, the fourth song, which is Backstreets, which is another good one, which is a song that is more of just an album track and all that. And it works. Honestly, like, if there were other singles that they wanted to release, more singles. I mean, if they released, like, let's say, like, because even like the biggest songs on this album were not even a single and all that stuff. Like, for instance, Thunder Road was not even really a single. And it's considered Springsteen's biggest hit. And that's the same with like Jungle Land too. I mean, Jungle Land, it's different because it's 8 minutes, and if they were gonna put it as a single, they would have to cut it up for both to fit, so for an A side and a B side. So I could see why Thunder Road, like, I could see why Jungle Land wouldn't be considered a single, but if they did have others, then it would be hard because the album only has 8 songs, so to release them all, I guess, as singles, even though it does work in some ways, and in some ways in Springsteen's case later on in other albums, but to release a lot of singles. But for this, I do think like songs like Night and even Backstreets have that single quality and all that stuff that could work as a single, and all that. But like, singles also don't need to make an album and a hit as well. But it works well too. I like the piano on it, and I like how it starts off really kind of, just soft, and then just, hits up with the powerful drums and all that, and it really works well, I think, and it really does. Like, I love it. I think it's great, and of course it's, it definitely builds up, to what the best, to the song that is out there, the one that just is so memorable. I mean, and of course it is the title of the album, which is Born to Run. And oh my god, yes, it has everything. Does it have a great instrumentation? Yes. Does it have great production? Yes. Does it have a great voice from Bruce? Yes. It's just, when when Bruce Springsteen said that he, like, this album, he was just looking, like, with Born to Run, he just wanted to make the greatest, rock and roll album ever. You can tell that, like, with this song is definitely a definition of that. It is definitely a song that I think, definitely shapes rock and roll, and especially during the 1970s. It's definitely a song that shows that rock and roll isn't dead. This is, rock and roll is still loud, rock and roll is still strong, rock and roll is still cool. And that is this song with this album. If any, like, Springsteen definitely saved rock with this song too, I mean, the lyrics, of course, are memorable, I love them. I mean, there's so many great lyrics, and, of course, how, it comes from, the best line, like in the chorus, tramps like us, baby, we're born to run. But what I love the most is, like how it comes from, the verses, and then, he goes into, and then Clarence Cummins goes into his sax solo, and, you hear that, and, damn, just wow, it's just, oh my god. And then it goes from, and then it shifts a little, and then, Springsteen goes, and then he just goes into his lines, like, because it's like, like the music's just playing, 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 and then it stops. And then it goes to 1, 2, 3, 4, and then the highways jammed with broken heroes on, and it's coming at you so fast. The lyrics, it's like the music, and it's just like, the highways jammed with broken heroes on a last chance power drive. Everybody's turned up on the road tonight, but there's nowhere left to hide. Just, oh my God, how it builds from music to stop in for a second, where it's like this great music, and then just stops, and then Springsteen's voice carries the song again, and oh my God, just shows you when he does that, it's like, yeah, Bruce, like, yeah, damn, he is the boss, yeah. And then you got two other songs that, of course aren't, eye-openers or, the most outstanding songs, would still work, is like She's the One. Definitely a little bit of a different track. Like I was listening to the album again today for just to, just to like, see if I can bring up any new ideas or point out stuff that I didn't before. And one thing I did notice was how, and I almost forgot, I guess it's been about a year or two since I've listened to the song She's the One. And, when it comes from, and it's a definitely interesting transition when it comes from Born to Run to She's the One, because I forgot, like, just how, like, when you listen to She's the One, it sounds like a different song and a different artist at first. And then, how it goes into that little piano, like riff, and then, Springsteen goes into his, like, lyrics and all that. And it works well, and it's not the most memorable, especially with lyrics. It's got a little bit of that, like, Buddy Holly, Not Fade Away vibe, I noticed. It works. And then you've got a song which I've been able to find a little bit more interesting, and I think it definitely builds up the last track on it, which is more of like that, like kind of jazzy. Definitely it's got that New York style, which is Meeting Across the River. It's a short song, but just an interesting type of, I feel like you can have, there's a lot of imagery with it, and yeah, definitely that East Coast, New York City vibe, works pretty well, and, and then we've got Jungle Land, and, when I was listening to Jungle Land today, it's like, I totally forgot how it starts off, with that beautiful, like, orchestra, and then, the piano, and then, Springsteen's soft-spoken, like, soft kind of, gentle touch of voice in that sense, and then how it just picks up, and then goes into that rock style, and then it goes back into a transition where, and then Clarence Clemens just has the most beautiful sax solo out there. It's probably one of his best, and it's so beautiful, and for people who probably got to see him live, because unfortunately he's been dead now for 10 years, to see him do that live probably in person, which is probably incredible, and probably just an experience that, you never really, like, that was just really something to, see to believe, My parents actually saw Clarence Clemens live in New York or something like that, on his own and all that, and oh my God, it's just, it works so perfectly, like, it's just, oh my God, Yeah, no. So that's it for today's album review. I really appreciate you listening on and all that. Thank you very much. And see you guys next time. Bye.